This is Slow Food Live. If you're not familiar with Slow Food is an international grassroots organization that began 30 years ago in Italy. Slow food is a movement that is alive in over 150 countries, including Mexico. And we have friends with Slow Food Mexico that have introduced us to Chef Regina Escalante Bush, who joined us at Slow Food Nations last year, is a wonderful human. I'm so happy I had the opportunity to meet you during the festival, and really happy and grateful that you're joining us this morning for this. Regina is the chef and owner of a restaurant called Merci in Mérida in the Yucatán in Mexico. And I will let her tell you more about her restaurant and her approach to cooking and all the things that she'll share with you about, I guess, your journey and your life as a chef. So I'm going to just hand it over to you, Regina. If you have questions for Chef while she's teaching, put your questions in the Q&A and I'll get to those at the end. Thank you so much for being here. We're really happy to have you. I'm happy to see you, and I'll just hand it over to you from here.
I was saying, for those that don't know where Mérida, Yucatán is in the peninsula of Yucatán. We're 4 hours from Cancun. I don't love to give that as a reference because then people, I mean, I guess just think that like Cancun, we're just like packed with hotels and stuff. And there's so much to Mérida than just like it's tourism, and there's so much culture and great food also. So anyway, I'm from Mérida, and yes, I have 2 restaurants here in Mérida, both called Merci. And we opened about 6 years ago. We just celebrated our 6th anniversary. And yeah, we, as many restaurants, we closed, and I would love to tell you what we've been up till now. But I mean, for this webinar, I was just like really hoping to give you some joy at home and give you some freshness. And, you know, I mean, with everything, it's just hard to just, you know, see the beauty of every day. And I hope this drink brings you that joy and that, you know, happiness of waking up today and serving yourself a great coffee. My opinion, I love cold brew coffee, but just serve yourself some great coffee and splash it with some horchata, or you can just drink it on its own. I'm gonna give you some tips. And I love this recipe because it can really adapt to whatever you have at home. I mean, obviously the base of it, it's like a rice water, but you can add whatever spices you like. You can add, if you don't like dairy, you don't necessarily have to do it with dairy. So yeah, there's a lot of like different ways to adapt this recipe. Okay, so if you're all set, we're gonna do a small review on what materials we will be needing during this workshop. And also, I'm going to give you a small review about the ingredients that I will be using, and hopefully you have them in hand to join me through this workshop. So let's get started. If you have a stove, so I have a stove already set up with like it's sort of like a slow cooker, like not a slow cooker, but like I don't know how you call this, Dutch oven kind of thing. I like to use this one for this recipe, especially because we're short of time. So the larger the surface, the quicker it will cook, okay? Because we're kind of like, I'm gonna push this up a little bit. Oh, we're kind of like, we wanna do it quickly. We wanna drink it quickly. So a large pot, a blender. I do not have, as many chefs, they have like these super expensive and fancy blenders. Not my case. I have like any basic Oster blender. I mean, it only has like 6 speeds or whatever, and that will work perfectly. And you can use this, you can use a food processor, whatever you have in hand that will actually like mix it in quickly. Or even a pestle mortar, whatever you have. I'm gonna be using a scale just because all of my recipes here in Mérida is very, very humid. So all of my recipes, I like to do them by weight and just be very precise, because since it's so humid, like when you're measuring in cups, like if the flour got a little bit humid, like weight can vary time to time. So I always like to use a scale, but you can use, you just use like measuring cups, that's fine also. And I'm gonna be using a big bowl and a strainer, just like a basic strainer. If you don't have a strainer, I said you could use like a cloth or something to strain the rice water. And I have, as I said, I have the cold brew coffee. I have some ice in a cup that I'll be pouring my horchata at when we finish, that it's already like in the freezer. So it's like super cold. Oh, where's my cup? Yeah, it'll be going in the freezer. So when we pour it in, it's like super frozen. Okay, and now as for the ingredients. I think we're cutting off my face a little bit. There you go. As for the ingredients, today we're gonna be using 3 like super important ingredients: sugar, rice, and milk. Those 3 ingredients are the base, and then you can use whatever spice. So for the rice, I'm gonna measure it up for us to see exactly how much it is. So I'm using 1 cup of rice, okay, 1 cup of rice. You can use whatever rice you want, but I like using like any rice, like organic rice you can find. It's just like really basic. If you have like a risotto rice, that's fine, jasmine rice, whatever rice you want, that's okay. So by weight, this is 200 grams. So 1 cup, 200 grams of rice. Then we're gonna use the sugar. I use like non-bleached sugar, like sort of like a standard sugar. You don't really have to use sugar. Some people use condensed milk, which is not like super healthy and super clean, but you can definitely use like condensed milk that gives it like a complete different flavor. Some people even do it with dulce de leche. That works also. If you don't like sugar, like dark sugar would work perfectly. It's just to give it like a super sweetness. Horchata is known for being this intense, syrupy, super overly sweet beverage. So I don't like it to be like lose it too sweet, but like sweet enough that you actually like get fresh. So anyway, so sugar, I'm using 1/3 of a cup of sugar, okay? And by weight, we're using 100 grams. So half of the amount of rice we'll be putting on sugar. As I said, if you want to use like any substitute or like even honey, you can use honey also. Whatever you have to sweeten up, that's up to you. Feel free to adapt it. And then for the milk. So I'm using cow's milk, like whole milk. You can definitely just use water if you want. You can use goat's milk, oat, coconut, whatever milk you want. We just need like a liquid to cook it with. So by cups, we will be using, I'll get a bigger one. I don't have a bigger one, so we'll do it with this one. Yeah, so it's 3 cups. Okay, so here we have 2 cups, and then here's like another cup. So yeah, 3 cups of milk, and by weight, it will be yeah, 700 grams. I mean, I put it by weight, but yeah, 700 of milk. And then spices. So in the spice department, you can do, as I said, whatever you feel like. I like it to have like really complex, like mix of flavors that when you actually eat it, you're like, like there's something there that I don't recognize, but it's really delicious. So I like to make like this combo of 3 spices. I mean, vanilla, I always save, like for my vanilla beans, I save like the vine. I don't know how you say it in English, but the vine. In Spanish, we say la vaina de vainilla. I dry them up, so I'll be infusing this with the rice. Some cinnamon, I like to use like fresh, I mean not fresh, but like whole cinnamon, and also cardamom. So this is the spice that people would try and be like, I also like to add sometimes like tonka. I don't know if you have tried tonka. It's really good. I'll show you what it looks like. And also a great one would be like nutmeg. That would be really good. Like I think that it depends like on the season. Nutmeg, you can grate some of that up. And this is my favorite spice at the moment. That it's called tonka. I don't know if you have seen this, but this is so, so good. I mean, I have like body creams of this, and it's just like so fresh. And it's like this aromatherapy that just like gives you joy through the day to just have this scent. So anyway, just use whatever spice you like. Don't be shy, just mix whatever and then just make your own horchata blend. Okay, traditionally, Mexicans would only use cinnamon, but my husband doesn't really love cinnamon, so I just like mixing it up. So anyway, let's go back to our recipe. So in your big pot, I'm gonna cook this a little bit. There we go. In my big pot, I will be pouring the milk first. I'm using whole milk. Okay. I'm going to be pouring the milk and the sugar. Okay, all the sugar. And I'm going to be adding the spices, so they start like infusing. So I'm going to add like 2 of cinnamon, a good pinch that's like 1/8 of a teaspoon of, no, quarter teaspoon cardamom, and the vanilla. So I'm going to add all that vanilla, that it's basically like 1 vanilla string. So, oh my God, this smells so good. So we're going to put that to heat up. Just cover it so it starts boiling real quick. And as soon as it boils, I'm going to be adding the rice. So the rice will cook basically like in about, I'm sorry, I'm trying to figure out that. There. The rice will take like 20 minutes to cook. So, so yeah, that's why it's important to use like a big pot for it to just like boil and quickly cook. Okay, so I'm gonna put this in the sink. Okay, so regarding the horchata, so here in Mexico, we drink the horchata for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. As some of you might know, horchata is, as I said, like super sweet. And as you might know, Mexican food is like super, super spicy. So it has, I mean, for one taco, like I would put like 5 different types of sauces in a taco. So it's like, horchata just helps you have a better digestion of like your meal. And yeah, so it just makes you like not feel like as your guts are all messed up. It just makes your meal happier. It creates like this base in your stomach when you're eating. So so that's why, I mean, Mexicans drink a lot of horchata. It's really refreshing. It fills up your stomach and it gives you that perfect balance with the super spicy food. And yeah, it's very, very popular. It's a really cheap drink. Like you would pay 15 pesos for or 10 pesos for like a half a liter of horchata. And you can buy it like in the markets, and I mean like already prepared. You can buy it in the markets. You can buy it in like any convenience stores, like really freshly bottled. And it's always like in the cold fridge. They serve it like super cold and fresh. And yeah, so that's why and how we drink it. It's a really, really popular What did you miss? It is. Oh, I didn't see it. Giselle, did you see the question?
Yes, I think, let's see, is the milk in the pan with the rice?
No, I
No.
only put the milk with the sugar and the spices, whatever spices you want.
Excellent. So you've got your milk and sugar and spices off to the side and just your rice and water on the stove.
No. In the stove, we have the milk and sugar and spices.
Okay, separately.
And then here I have the rice.
Okay, got it. Sorry.
Yeah. So yeah, this is such I mean, it does take time to cook. So, I mean, not a lot, but it's kind of, where can you buy the tonka? In any, like, place you find good spices, I guess. Literally. I can't hear you.
I did a really quick search. I think it's possible that it is not legal in the United States.
Seriously?
Yes. In a quick search, I'm seeing, why is tonka illegal? Why is the tonka being banned? Somebody's found it on Amazon. I encourage you to try to find, and there's 2 left in stock. So maybe that's an old thing. Maybe that has changed.
I don't know. I bought mine when I was on a trip in Europe, so probably you're right. I have no idea. They do sell it, but like really in only a few stores here in Mexico. Not a lot of people know it, so there's not a bunch of demand for it, but it's really good. It's so good. Yeah, in France.
Yeah, it sounds really good.
There. I mean, for a lot of desserts and stuff.
The flavor is good.
Yeah, so anyway, so this beverage is like really popular, and it obviously like takes time. And since we are a country that are like the #1 consumers of Coca-Cola, it's like obviously when you have to boil rice and mix it and strain it and this and that, like people want shortcuts, as most of the things. So they like almost like how much, like 50 years ago, they started producing it like in syrups that you can find it like in the grocery store, like in any like aisle, where they have like all the syrups and stuff. So you just like have to dissolve it in a little bit of water with ice or milk and ice. And yeah, it's like a syrup. So why am I telling you this? Because you have 2 choices. Like you can actually, I like making it a syrup and just like putting a splash on it on my coffee if I want to, some of it in my, like just to drink in the afternoon or something. But you could definitely just like put enough liquid during the process, during the recipe, that you have like the beverage all set up like in a pitcher in your fridge. So, I mean, whatever you want, it's just a matter of like putting more liquid during the process of the recipe. So what we will be doing today, it's more like a base, like a syrup, and then you can choose to dilute it in whatever liquid you want. So I'll be doing it, as I said, in my coffee, but you can do it in whatever, in a tea or something. If you love, like, I don't know, green tea or something, I'm sure it will be delicious. So I'm gonna go and check on my stove and make sure that the milk doesn't overflow.
And Regina, are you getting that to a rolling boil or just a simmer? That looks more like a boil, maybe?
This is like a boil. I'm gonna try to bring the phone.
Okay.
Let's see. I don't want you to miss on the fun. Let me see. There. So you see it's really boiling? Can you see it? Can you see it?
Yeah, I can see it. Looks like there's a little bit of foam on top.
Yeah. So I'm just trying to mix the sugar and the spices. Okay, and now add the rice. So the rice, I did not wash it. I didn't rinse it before because the starch was help just like thicken the syrup, you know, thicken my horchata. So we're just gonna let it cook for like 8 minutes, and that's about it. Then we'll mix it, strain it. So yeah, as I said in the beginning, you don't have to use dairy. Some people just use water. You can really adapt it to whatever you want. It's okay. lower the heat a little bit. You see I have like a medium heat going on.
Great, yes. So now at this point, you're kind of cooking it like you would normally rice minus the rinsing.
Yes, there's more volume to it, you
Right.
know? It's like 2.5 rice. So yeah, let it cook like this a little bit. Just let it boil away. Here, can you see me okay?
Mm-hmm.
I hope I'm not making you all dizzy.
No, it's good. It's good to see the pot on the stove. Someone has asked if you can use the horchata in a cocktail.
Definitely. They're asking how much rice. It was 200 grams, a cup of rice. So depending on the rice you use, it might be a little bit less, less volume per se. So that's why I'm giving you grams, so you have like the exact amount, whatever rice you're cooking with. You can definitely use it in cocktails. Actually, 2 years ago, I don't know if you have tried, there's this cocktail I love that it's called carajillo. We drink it here in Mexico, like when we go out, like when we used to go out and parties and like clubs and stuff, like it has a shot of espresso and liquor 43. I'm going to show you what liquor 43 is. Here he is, carajillo. It's liquor 43. It has 43 extracts of citrus and just like flowers and stuff. It's like so good. It smells so fresh, super good. So you put like half a shot of liquor 40 and 1 shot of espresso, and you mix it up and you serve it with ice, and that's like so good. Like I would sacrifice dessert for that drink like every day. And so they 2 years ago, the same company just took out a drink called horchata. So horchata, it's like an horchata with like a little bit of booze. So you're supposed to mix that with coffee. But you know, I've tried it and that is like super sweet. Like I could not drink it. So I prefer just doing my own horchata, measuring out the amount of sugar I put in and mixing it with, with just like the rum or something, or like a good whiskey or something. And then like the shot of espresso, that's like amazing. Because if you put horchata and liquor 43, this is like super sweet. And yeah, if you mix the horchata with this, you will have like really bad diabetes and just like pass out of sugar rush, or it would be really bad. So definitely don't, too much sugar, especially at night. Don't do it. Plus the caffeine. But yeah, coffee and horchata is like super good. Super good. So I'm gonna give it a quick stir.
And how long did you say you were cooking the rice for?
For about 20 minutes.
20 minutes, great.
Yes. So do not skim the milk. Just leave. If it has like a little, like a little custard on top, just leave it in. That will give it like all the flavor. And yeah, since we're gonna blend it and everything, try not using like a super expensive like specialty rice. Try to go more for like a basic cooking rice. Yeah. So yeah, I wanted to just tell you about like what's been happening here in Mexico, what we've been up to. And yeah, first of all, thank you again for all the people that are watching us and that are joining this workshop. It's great. It's great to be able to like get in touch with so many people from all over the place and all over the world. And it's crazy that from Mérida, I'm teaching you to make something, and it's just that something that I'm really so grateful about, like everything that's going on, is that thanks to technology, we can just like keep in touch. And I think that's just gives us like a lot of, it keeps my anxiety down to just, talking to people and being able to connect with people. And that's really important, just to keep in touch, especially with those we love, and also giving us a chance to have these platforms to get in touch with people we don't know, but even though like we can communicate and share some of our knowledge. And so for that, I'm very grateful. And yeah, it's been tough as for the rest of the world. I think that it's hard to embrace just what's going on. And we had to close our restaurants on the 21st of March. We closed. It's been a month and a half. No, 2 months almost. And yeah, it was very tough because at the beginning we weren't asked to do so. The government didn't really ask us to like shut down our business, but we just felt that we were better off just closing, because that news was spreading and just people were going out less and less, and we were having our home menu like available was just making us like invest every day more money to have like all the food items and stuff, and like the whole staff and just like air conditioning and everything. It was just like, too much. So we decided that that was the best alternative, and mostly because we couldn't guarantee the safety of our staff, and we didn't have enough information of how like containing the virus and how to, and not even now, right? But we didn't even have like enough information on how to deal with it. So we were just like really afraid, and we decided that it was like the best choice. So we closed, and at the beginning I started, one of my purveyors of organic eggs that is actually part of the slow food movement also, was actually doing already like food deliveries for eggs. So we teamed up, and I made some bakeries, just me. Nobody in the team, the whole team went home, but I live like literally like 10 steps from one of the restaurants. So I would go there every morning, and I would be baking and giving it to Lily, that is one of our purveyors, and she would do the home deliveries. And so we kind of made like this package where people would could get both items, and it really helped her move like a lot of her products, and it helped us like have a little bit of sale, even if it obviously didn't make up for what we are losing like every day, but it was something. And so that's what we did like for the first 3 weeks. And after that, we stopped for a week because it was like super crazy, and just like my anxiety was so bad, and I was just like I couldn't get my ideas clear. Fortunately we were selling so much bread by then, but I was just like doing everything on my own. So we didn't go for a week, but like for 2-3 days, 3 days. And then we came up with a plan, and we called back like all the staff that had already been for like 3 weeks at their house. But we called the staff that had like personal transportation and that lived on their own, and that had really been monitoring their health. And they came back to work, and they helped me like get all the orders ready of bread and stuff, and sweet stuff. And yeah, that's what we've been up to lately. Like the demand has been so good, and we had Mother's Day 2 weeks ago, and it's just been crazy, like the amount of support that we've been getting. And we have taken our time to make the right choices, but there's so much information going on, and so much like wrong information, and it's just we needed time to get like all of our ideas in order, and build up a plan and a strategy that we can actually hold in time. So that's we've been doing in Merci. And yeah, so now we're doing home deliveries through a platform, and we're doing some pickup at the restaurant with like prepayment and stuff, and people are ordering mostly like breads. We do a lot of croissants and a lot of like French influenced cuisine. And that's been sort of like holding us together and just like as a team making us like, you know, get through this. So that's been it. And this is just going crazy. So it's almost a little bit all dried up. So I'm gonna add a half cup of water, purified water. No, 1 cup, sorry. 1 cup of purified water just to not make it as dry and paste. Right? 1 cup of water going in.
What's the sort of consistency you're looking for, like the balance between, thank you for telling us what you're up to with the restaurant. I think it's just good to know. I think it's nice to know what folks are doing. And I love that you're making pastries. Talk about bringing joy into people's homes. This is an important thing. For the rice where it's at right now, what are you looking for? How much water do you still want, or liquid do you still want?
Let me show you. So you have enough liquid, you can actually like blend it. If it's too easy, it's gonna like you won't be actually, it's gonna be like a potato puree, you know, it's gonna be too thick to mix. So just enough that it's like, I mean, if I get like a spoonful, I have like half a liquid, half a rice. You know what I mean? So the water is just to help us like keep cooking the rice. It will eventually evaporate most of it, you know, but we want to keep cooking the rice and not have paste that it's way too thick to actually blend. Perfect.
And in order to thin it, you're adding water, not more milk.
You can add more, definitely add more milk, but I'm adding a little bit of water because, as I said, it's going to evaporate. I think I had it too high, and since I was turning my back on it, and it just evaporated most of the milk. So just a little bit of water to just loosen it up a little bit and keep cooking the rice. So definitely, if you have more milk, add more milk. If it didn't evaporate as much as mine did, it's okay. Just add a little bit of water.
Perfect. Okay. Can I ask you these questions while we're at this point? We have a couple questions. Can I ask you those now?
Yes, please do.
Awesome. Great. So a couple folks are wondering if we can use brown rice.
Yes, although brown rice will need way more liquid, I would go for 4 times the amount of rice you're cooking. So if you were to do like 1 cup of brown rice, put 4 to 5 cups. Or, I mean, what is suggested also sometimes is to leave your rice soaking like through the night in the fridge. If you were to use brown rice, I would definitely use that method. Just put the milk and the water with the rice and put it in the fridge so it just like soaks up and softens the rice a little bit, and it doesn't take like 3 years to cook.
Great, perfect. That's a good tip. Stephanie's milk started burning at the bottom of her pan. She's using cashew milk, but I noticed you're stirring the milk quite a bit. Is that really important? And is that how you're avoiding it burning at the bottom?
Yeah, I mean, each stove is different. If we turn around here, like I was using this burner, and that's why it like really evaporated really quickly. Now I'm going to this one, you know, and it has like a gentle simmer. but definitely move it along and if you think that it glued to the bottom, change the pan. Don't wait for it to actually burn. Any other questions?
Excellent. Maybe just a quick recap. So Gretchen is, we're going to go back to the beginning of this and you can correct me if you're wrong. The rice was not cooking separately. We have our milk and sugar and spices cooking in a pot. And then once you get those to a boil, you're adding the rice directly to that pot without rinsing it.
Exactly.
Perfect.
I used 700 grams of milk. I weighed it, so that's why I'm giving it out in grams. And I used 100 grams of sugar, of like standard sugar, not bleached or anything, standard sugar, a quarter teaspoon of cardamom, some vanilla, that it was like a dried up vanilla bean I had, and some cinnamon. So I put like this much of cinnamon, like 2 of these, because we don't like a lot of cinnamon. So that, and then once it boiled, you add the rice. I added the rice and it was 200 grams, which is a cup of rice. So you just use any basic rice you have at home. You can use like jasmine, risotto, arborio rice, whatever, but those are like a little bit more expensive. Just use like any basic rice you can get your hands on.
Perfect. And then you're bringing it down to a simmer as soon as you add the rice.
Yes, bring it down to a simmer and just like mix it every now and then for it not to stick to the pan and not to like overflow from the pan either.
Perfect. All right, great.
And
I'm going to save this last question for the end.
I was giving my back to it. It kind of went a little bit quicker than I anticipated. So I added 1 cup more of water. But as I said, I mean, I'm going to do like a syrup kind of thing that I can like sweeten my coffee with. But I mean, the liquid is really, I mean, it's up to you. If you want to do a whole pitcher, just add like 5 liters of water or of milk, you know, and you will have like the beverage all set to drink, you know. If you want, like myself, not a whole pitcher, I just want like a little jar of it, and then I can just like dilute it in whatever I want, like either water or milk or my coffee or whatever.
Great.
And that's how you would find it in a grocery store here in Mérida. I mean, in a grocery store, you would find like a syrup in a thing like this, right? So you pour it and you mix it with cold milk or cold water.
Excellent. And then you would want that one to be a lot thicker than if you were just going to pour it into a glass.
Exactly. But it really depends on how much milk or water you want to add.
Great. Perfect.
And you can also do it, I mean, I've seen a lot of people like cooking with the instant pot. You can do it in there also. I don't have one, so I cannot give you like the exact directions to do it. But definitely it's something that you can cook there or in a crock pot also, or I don't know. I mean, just try it out. It's just about, you know, just trying it out and experimenting with whatever you have at the house.
Perfect.
And as cold brew, I mean, some people also just do it like cold. They infuse the rice and the spices and the sugar in the fridge for like 3 days, and then they blend it. Like they don't cook it. I like it cooked because I feel it's quicker. It's like, today I'm craving horchata. I want it today. I want to make it today. I want to drink it today. I'm kind of impatient. But I mean, if you want to like all the vitamins and like cold press, if you're into that, it's definitely something that you can adapt to. Yes.
Excellent. Thank you. I'm going to save this last question for the end.
Okay.
After we see what you do with the rice.
I'm going to give it a good stir.
Okay, perfect. And Cindy, you've asked about using vanilla extract instead of the bean, and I'll let Regina chime in here, but Regina, I think you didn't, were the seeds still in the bean when you used it?
No.
Right, just the, I don't really know the word for that either. The pod?
I have no idea.
I don't know.
I have no idea how it's called. I think it's, I mean, here in Mexico, we say vaina de vainilla, like a vein, but I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't
I think the
call it.
pod, but the pod's the whole thing. So Cindy has asked if we're using vanilla extract instead of the bean, which the extract would
Definitely.
be,
That
yeah,
would work perfectly. Yeah. I mean, I
vanilla
have
is a
those in the
little
fridge hanging out, you
bit.
know. I usually put them to infuse the sugar. Like after I scrape the beans, I put it to infuse and dry up in the sugar. But I just had those. Yeah, the pod. It's the same name. Yeah.
Right.
Oh, you're there. So I put the pod in the fridge, and then when I'm gonna do something that needs to be like infused, I would use the dry pod for that. But definitely, I mean, I wouldn't suggest. I mean, if you want to be like super fancy, put the beans in. But you know, with the pod is good enough, or with an extract, we're gonna blend it. So I like to use the beans for like more sophisticated desserts. You know, like. I don't know if you're gonna do like a pastry cream or something. It's really fancy to see the pot,
Yeah,
the beans.
I just made a cake 2 days ago, and it only called for the seeds. So I'm wishing I had saved. I put the pod into some vodka to make some extract, but I'm wishing I had held on to it so I could have used it for this. It's great too, because so many recipes just call for the bean, and I'm never quite sure what to do with that guy.
Yeah,
So that's
yeah.
excellent. So the
And
question is,
yeah, if you were using vanilla extract, you could definitely put just like a half. I mean, for the amount I gave you, like a cup of rice, I would go for a half a teaspoon, not more, or else it can be like kind of very saturated. Yeah, I mean, my style of cooking is like really. I just pulled the part out of the vanilla. What'd you say?
I think you made extract with it and then took the pod out. You have
Yeah,
a
but then the
little.
part you can just leave it in your kitchen window to dry out.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
So yeah, I mean, my style of cooking is really about just tasting everything. I mean, in Mexican culture, as I said, like you have a taco and you just put like you marinate the meat, then you slow cook the meat, and then you put like pickle this, pickle that, and like 500 salsas. And I love it because it's like a bite of things like you cannot really put a name to it, but it's just like the all of it together makes like this amazing bite, makes it just really good. But my style of cooking, it's more like about the product, about like really trying to showcase each product. So per se, if like now we're gonna do the rice, it's not about putting so many spices that you can't even taste the rice. You know, it's about just having that balance in each thing and having it like when you try it that you can actually have a taste of everything that's in it and not be like, it's good, but I have no idea what's in it. Yeah, and I studied culinary school in France, and my husband is French, so that's why. I mean, our restaurant is called Merci. Here in Mexico, there's a name called Mercedes, and they're called Mercies. I mean, like Doña Merci, Mrs. Merci, and a lot of people think that like my second name is Merci, but it's not. And yeah, we wanted to call it Merci because I know it. For once, it's like really sticky. It just puts like a good vibe. Like from the doorstep, you have like this thankful, thank you word, and it just, I don't know. I, I really like it that it sets the tone for like when you go in, and that we're genuinely thankful for your visit and for your purchase, and you know. So yeah, and so my cooking is really inspired on those. I mean, in French cooking mostly, and American cooking. My mom is American, and my dad is Mexican. He's from Yucatán. So they got married here in Mérida, and they always lived here. And I was raised and born and raised here. And yeah, so I mean, sometimes I used to spend the summers with my grandparents in Dallas, in Texas. If there's people from Dallas here watching us, they're from there. And, I just have these memories of being just like really young and going to to diners with them, and just like after church at 9, we would be in the line to have like fresh waffles and great, like crispy bacon. So it's just, it feels really like home, and that's what Merci is about. Our slogan is like homemade food, because like everything we do it from scratch in Merci, but mostly because it's really like memories of our childhood, of my husband's in France, and like mine with my grandparents and in Mexico, and just being inspired by those memories, and just like making it our own by adding like new ingredients, or like different techniques to the recipes.
That's wonderful. It's a slow food restaurant through and through.
So I'm going to bring you up here so you can see inside of the pot. So at this point, you can choose if you want to leave it this way. You can add more liquid. We will probably add a little bit more liquid as we blend it. I might even add a little bit right now. So it really depends on your stove and how much it evaporated. Or like some people nowadays have like really good blenders, like Thermomix, or I don't know, other brands, but they have like super blenders that have like the motor of a super race car. So my blender is not, this is not the case. So I do want to have enough liquid for it to blend like easily enough. So I am going to add a little bit more of water. I'm going to be adding 1 more cup of water, just as I said, because my blender will not blend this. I'm going to have a really hard time. So I'm just going to add, yeah, half a cup is enough. More, and this should work. And just feel free to try it and adjust the spices as it cooks. So I'm gonna be trying this. This is so good. So this is the moment where you can just add some more sugar if you feel it needs it. I feel that mine is okay, but just try it and adjust it as you want. I only gave you a base, so don't feel pressure to do exactly as I did. Add more sugar, add honey, add more cinnamon, whatever you want. I think I'm gonna add a little bit more of cardamom. Just a little pinch. This is so good. I have like all the So we're gonna get ready to start blending. Mine is all set now. It's all cooked. I'm gonna start blending it just so you see how we do it. So I like to blend it with the spices in, because we're still gonna strain it. So that way we get like the most of the flavor of the spices. Have you ever tried adding ginger? No, but that's a great suggestion. Really good idea. You see, you can just do it. Just, when you're cooking the rice, just be tasting it. And at the moment, you can even like add like pepper. That would be really good, like black pepper. Whatever you feel like, depending on also on what you will be using it for. Myself, for my coffee, I love it with a little bit of cinnamon, a little bit of vanilla. That's fine with me. But if you were using it for like, like a really savory cocktail, like more intense spices or even like rosemary, that would be amazing also, I think. So I'm gonna start adding the rice in my blender, and then we're gonna start mixing it, okay? Does anybody else have another question?
There's a couple quick questions. Are you using cardamom powder or seeds? Not the whole pod, or are you putting the whole pod in?
Of the what?
The cardamom, is it powder?
Oh, I have like a powder.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, could have used seeds, but I didn't have any. I have the powder.
And I think if you have the cardamom pods, you probably want to break them open and pull the seeds out instead of putting the whole pod in, would be my guess.
Yeah, you can open it up that way, or you can crush it. If you have like mortar and pestle, that would be a great idea, just to crush it a little bit and then add it. As I said, since we're gonna strain it, you don't actually have to put like be worried about like putting like a whole stick of cinnamon, because after we strain it, that will like dissolve.
Right. Okay, gotcha. So you could try the pods, you could try the seeds, put the powder. One more question is, does the rice have to be fully cooked, or is it still a little bit firm?
It should be fully cooked.
Okay.
Mine is, so I'm gonna go ahead and do it that way, but yeah, you can hold on and cook it longer if you need. Just, yeah.
Great. Great. Okay.
Each stove and each rice is different, so.
Yeah, and even the texture will be different. Okay, great. I think we can carry on with the blending, and then we'll get these questions when you're done with that.
Exactly.
Mhm.
So I'm gonna have a little bit, as I said, my blender is not a competition top chef blender, and I'm okay with that. But I'm gonna have a little bit of water next to me in case I need to like add more to loosen up the mix a little bit, okay? It can be water, it can be more milk, whatever liquid you can have in hand. Just have it next to you in case you need it. Might not, but. Okay, so it's already blended. You see we have like looks like porridge or something. And I'm gonna get the strainer. It doesn't seem to wanna, sorry. That doesn't seem to wanna stay in my bowl, but I'm just gonna strain the mix just to make sure that I don't get like big cinnamon chunks.
And your end goal here is to make the syrup.
Sorry?
And you're going to be making the syrup with this batch.
Yes.
Okay. So yours is pretty thick or thicker than maybe if somebody was going to pour it.
So you can add more water or milk. I mean, I like to just have the syrup ready, as I said, because I don't want to have like a big pitcher in my fridge. Perfect. So I put that, and then I'm gonna put the rest in. Perfect. So I'll just pour this into my strainer also.
So are you pushing it through the strainer at this point?
Sorry, I can't hear you. Sorry.
You're pushing it through the strainer?
Sorry, can you repeat it?
Yeah, you're pushing it through the strainer. What are you doing right now? Okay.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch you.
No, you're great. You're great. And you just have a wooden spoon to kind of push it through. Great. That looks delicious already.
This is for the arm. Yeah, just push it through.
So I suppose the goal is just to get the solids out, but you've now blended all the rice, so the rice is kind of coming through, and you're going to get most of it through that strainer, it looks like.
Yes.
Great. But you can see the little bits of vanilla pod, and that's what we want to leave behind, is those chunks.
Sorry?
I'm just saying that we can see the bits of vanilla pod, and that's what we're looking to leave behind. So you shouldn't have any more pieces of rice. Is that right?
Exactly. I mean, depending on how long you would cook your rice, you will have more or less rice on the top.
Okay. So someone has asked if your spices are in chunks, and if you take them out before blending, could you skip pushing it through a strainer?
Depending on if you super overcook your rice, you could definitely like skip this step if you would take the spices out earlier. But you know what? I just feel that straining it is not, I mean, don't take shortcuts.
Yeah.
The straining part is important just in case like there's a big chunk of rice that didn't fully cook or something. It's just gonna help you like have a smoother, drink.
Yeah, that makes sense. And Chris has asked if I could use a food mill for this step. I don't have a food mill, so I don't know.
I don't know what consistency you get on a food mill.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think it's worth a try. It seems like it might work. Let me ask you, Regina, how long will the finished syrup last in the fridge?
About a week.
Okay.
Not more than a week.
Okay, great. I can't imagine it lasts that long anyways, as far as consumption goes.
Yeah, I wouldn't, I mean, if you save it like in different containers, it could probably last a little bit longer because you're not like actually putting your finger or your spoon or whatever in it.
Right.
You're not touching it, but I wouldn't suggest to leave it.
Right. I mean, it's still a dairy product, so it seems logical to treat it like one even after you've done the process.
Exactly.
Great. And I did save this question for the end because I had a feeling this would be the case. Michelle asked if you're able to eat or use the rice for anything after it's been cooked, but we're now seeing what I suspected, which is that you don't really have rice left over because you've blended it. So I think that you're going to be left with very little food matter at the end of pushing it through the strainer. And one more question is if you ever add nuts when you're cooking the mixture.
If I ever had what?
If you ever add nuts, almonds or peanuts, or somebody has mentioned chufa, which sounds like is similar to a peanut.
Yeah, well, that's why it's called horchata, because it comes from the word from chufa. So that's why traditionally it should be made with that, but Mexicans adapted it to be used with rice flour or flour. or rice. Sorry.
Rice. Oh, okay. So the rice is the substitute for the chufa. So
Yes.
chufa, you could try that.
Yes. If you have chufa, definitely do it with that. You will have completely different flavor.
Okay.
But anyway, so I have this now. It's kind of like a pudding-like.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So we're getting to the fun part. Let me see. I'm gonna put this here. There. Can you see me okay?
Yep, that's perfect.
So I'm gonna put a little bit of this. Okay, this is my cup. I'm gonna put like 1 spoonful, a tablespoon. You see, about a tablespoon. And I'm gonna fill this with ice and water.
I'm just making a note of that quantity. I will say one thing to everyone who's joined us today. I will send you a follow-up email with some links to Merci online and Regina's social media accounts and Slow Food USA, and we'll send you that ingredient list again and your material list again. And so I've taken a couple notes on a few things that I can put in that email for you, so you can have a quick reference or jump back into this video. We'll post this video on our YouTube channel as soon as we can, and we'll share the link with you in case you need to revisit it. Oh, excellent. I can see why this is the fun part. This is the pièce de résistance.
So here you have it, like it stucks to the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have the water. Just get a spoon. I'm gonna stir it with this part. And you just like dissolve it. So I did a stir in Merci because I said, oh my God, in my house, we always like dissolved it in water, in ice water. Like, how do you drink your horchata? And they all looked at me like, with milk? Like, who does it with water? And I'm like, oh my God, my mom lied to me this whole time that it wasn't with milk. Like, milk was only for cereal in the morning. Like, at night, never. Always water. So I grew up drinking it like this. Definitely, if you want to do it like the team in Merci, do it with milk. So you just give it like a good shake with the spoon. I'm gonna add a little bit more.
I think you mentioned this earlier, but do you sometimes freeze the syrup? Do you ever?
Wait, sometimes what?
Do you ever freeze the syrup?
Freeze it?
Yeah.
Definitely save it longer. I'm gonna get a fork just to like emulsify. Have a taste. Mmm. This is so good. It's really, really good.
Excellent. That looks delicious.
So yeah, obviously if you mix it, if you dilute it in milk, you would have like a more thicker drink. But with water, I just feel, I mean, with the amount of sugar and the thickness of the rice, I don't feel, and since we cooked it in milk, I don't feel that like you need more dairy. But it's up to you. Delish. So what I'll do is I'll pour some of my coffee in it. So you can see a little bit how I would usually drink it. So I would take some of the coffee and it's like this super fresh, sweet latte kind of situation going on. And it's so fresh.
I love that.
So this definitely, I mean, if you're just, I mean, if you're party of two, just freeze some of it. Or if you're on your own, freeze half of it. And yeah, I mean, depending on what you want, you can have it a little bit more liquid before you freeze it. Or you can just prepare a big pitcher, as I said, for like lunch. And that way it's all set up to drink whenever you want. That effect also. But obviously, I mean, since it has the rice will have tendency to just like the bottom of the glass. So this is something that people would definitely have like a stir on a stir, like a stick or something to stir it like between each sip, or else it would just like set on the bottom of the glass. You see, as I did for mine. So that is part of it. It's okay. I mean, it's obviously it depends also. Mine is mostly water now, so obviously like by weight, the milk and the rice and the sugar will set to the bottom. So when you serve it, you would definitely serve it with like a little stick or something, so you can be mixing it.
Great. This is like
This is it. This is horchata.
Awesome. I was just thinking it's like a good function for maybe like a steel straw or a glass straw. You could drink it out of a steel straw and then also use that to stir it around in between. I personally really like those.
Exactly. Definitely.
And somebody has asked.
I mean, this technique, I mean, we sweeten it with the sugar and the spices. But I mean, nowadays, a lot of people love to drink their coffee with like oat milk and coconut milk. And you can make the rice milk, just cooking the rice with water, mixing it, and then you have like an unsweetened rice milk that would be great for like any other beverage you want to make. So, I mean, it's just a base, and then you can just adapt it to whatever like food or drinks you like to have, and you know.
Perfect. And I love that. I love your continued commentary on like make it mine, that use the spices I want and the ratios. Stephanie has asked what the ratio of syrup to water is, and you said about a tablespoon of syrup and then ice and fill it with water, but I think that's probably another thing. Find the ratio that you like the best.
I mean, there's a lot of, I have friends that love to drink it and love to have like the thick mustache. You know? I mean, I am not into that, and as I said, my mom would not, I mean, never told us that we could have diluted it in milk. Probably because she's American and she never knew. And we never drank it at grandma's house here in Mexico. So I don't know, she probably didn't get the memo that it was supposed to be diluted in milk. And that's fine. I grew up really happy and really loving it. So, I mean, you can dilute it in milk and whatever, water, whatever. I like it in water. It's fresh enough. It's not as heavy, you know? And yeah, give it a stir. When you drink it, give it a good stir.
That looks delicious.
It makes it.
Well, excellent. This is fantastic. I feel like this is going to change my whole coffee game all summer long.
It will. It will.
I can't wait to put it in my coffee because I like a little sweet, and sometimes I put a little cocoa in my coffee, or seems like just the right thing because I love that set of spices.
And you know, mostly it's about, I mean, we all have like different taste buds, and just, I mean, some people like love super sweet desserts. I'm not into that, you know. Horchata is not like overpoweringly sweet, like it doesn't numb my tongue. So it's just about, you know, doing it and adjusting it to your taste and just playing with it. And as you said, yeah, definitely. I mean, today I see all these people making sourdough bread, including myself. I'm so into baking sourdough bread at home and at the restaurant also. But you know what I love about, I mean, quarantine and sourdough and all these food preparations is just that you can make it your own. Exactly. It's like you can share this recipe, but I mean, some people will say like, I love cinnamon, I love more, I love less, and that's fine. And like sourdough bread, I mean, you can never have the same sourdough bread like twice. It's like every time will come out different.
Yeah, I like that. And you can change it with the seasons and the temperatures, and maybe last time you put more cinnamon than you like, or I love
Yeah.
that you're putting cardamom in that. That sounds delicious.
And as I said, I love it with coffee, but try it out with tea. I mean, I'm sure it would be amazing also.
Yeah, and when somebody asks about cocktails, I feel like there's this whole kind of category of cocktails that would do really well with this. Anything with a cream element in it, anything with that has like milk, or there's plenty of that. A coffee cocktail.
Definitely.
Well, great. This has been fantastic, Regina. Thank you for sharing this with us. And if you're out there and you made a glass and you're drinking one right now, share it with us. I'm going to put Regina's Instagram handles on here. So share it on Instagram or Facebook or wherever you are. Write us an email and send us a photo so we can see.
Please do.
Yeah, so we can see how it turned out. And you can find us at Slow Food USA on all social channels. So set up a picture of your horchata, tag all of us so we can see how you did today. Regina, thank you so much for joining us. It's really been a delight, and I can't wait to make some. I've got all my ingredients ready. I had a moment of like, do I do this in the kitchen today so I can make it along with it? I'll make it this afternoon. It's wonderful to see you.
Definitely. And as I said at the beginning, I mean, this time has been to connect with ourselves, to see that we're capable of doing great things, and just, you know, if you made the horchata today, feel proud of yourself that you adventured to do something different, and just like pat yourself and say like, wow, this is great, because it is great. Just like adventuring to do things out of the box, it's really, I mean, something, you know, to just share the joy. I mean, this is something that I really enjoy drinking here in Mexico, and it really makes me happy to have like cold coffee with like a twist, you know, and just spread the joy and spread the recipe, and just, you know, and enjoy sharing it.
I love that. That's the perfect note to end on. Thank you for bringing some joy into our world today. I feel it, and I think that it's great permission to feel joyful. We had a session on mental health a while back, and one of the big things I took away was she kind of said, I'm giving you permission to feel joy right now. I know it's a challenging time, but
yes,
here's your permission. It's okay. So
yeah, it's okay. And that's the whole point. I mean, it's a recipe that just, I mean, it's really, really, really hard to just like really mess it up. Just feel okay of owning it, and of doing it, and doing it to your taste, and just don't follow the book. I mean, the only thing you have to follow is just having a good time making it, and make a picture good enough to share with whoever you can share with. So
perfect.
So, yeah.
Well, perfect. Well, cheers to that. Here's my coffee cup for the day. And cheers to you. Thank you for being here. And to all of you who joined us today, I hope you have a joyful day and a joyful weekend. And I can't wait to see your horchata. And we'll see you next time. Thanks, Regina.
Definitely. Have a great day, great weekend.
Okay, you too.
And see you
Bye,
soon.
everyone.
Bye.